Good morning. Good morning. I'm Heike Eckhart, part of the worship team. Welcome. Whether the Unitarian Church of Evanston is your spiritual home, or you're seeking comfort and connection in uncertain times, we are grateful you are with us. We are an inclusive and welcoming community seeking truth in love and striving to nurture the human spirit for a world made whole. We are guided by our principles and values, which remind us in every moment and through every challenge that each of us matters and that we are all connected through the vast and beautiful web of existence. Together, let us remember our oneness, our kinship with one another, and may we hold one another in heart and mind with tenderness and careful attention. There are many links of connection in the comments section, including credits for the readings, to virtual faith formation, for donations, and to be added to our email newsletter list. A few announcements. Please check the website and the Friday newsletter for details about our all-ages, multi-platform services and Faith Formation Hour beginning on September 12th at 10:15. We invite those who are willing and able to return to the sanctuary for worship to join us with masks on. The service will continue to be live-streamed as well, and it will look a lot like the service you will see today. Following worship will be a time to learn and grow together, all of us, through discussion, reflection, the arts, anti-racism and anti-oppression work, social action, and spiritual practices. The ministers and staff welcome your questions and feedback. Today, we'll hold a virtual coffee and conversation after the service for about 30 minutes on Zoom. You can find the link in the comments below or in the newsletter. And now, I invite you to get your chalices ready, set a place for yourself and your family as we join in beloved community. Our opening reading this morning is from teacher and Quaker theologian Parker Palmer. Mentors and apprentices are partners in an ancient human dance, and one of teaching's great rewards is the daily chance it gives us to get back on the dance floor. It is the dance of the spiraling generations, in which the old empower the young with their experience, and the young empower the old with new life, reweaving the fabric of human community as they touch and turn. Welcome to worship.
Good morning. I'm Shirley Adams, and I'm here to start us off with our land acknowledgement. The Unitarian Church of Evanston sits on stolen lands, the traditional and current homelands of the Odawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi nations, known as the Council of the Three Fires. Many other tribes have and continue to call this area home, such as the Miami, the Menominee, the Sac, Fox, Ho-Chunk. We name these in honor and respect for the land and all the animals and plants that have lived on and through the land, and all people who have been and remain a part of the earth. Our shared faith calls us to name these as one small effort toward greater accountability, deeper relationship, and mutuality with both our ancestors and our descendants. So now, as Erlene and Renee light our chalice, which is the symbol of our living tradition as you use, they light it in honor of the first anniversary of their marriage. So please join us in saying these words by Joanne Janino. They should be on your screen. We light this chalice in honor of life's sacred dance of living and dying. May its flame remind us of those who have passed to us fragments of the holy. May it remind us that we too are participants in the dance. And now, join us in saying those familiar words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. So now we have a special song for you. It's in our Teal hymn book. If you have one of those at home, it's number 1030. The translation of the title is We Are Marching, so you may want to move to this dance as well and sing along with us. The title is Siahamba.
Today's Time for All Ages is Giraffes Can't Dance by Giles Andre and Guy Parker Reese. Gerald was a tall giraffe whose neck was long and slim, but his knees were awfully crooked and his legs were rather thin. He was very good at standing still and munching shoots off trees, but when he tried to run around, he buckled at the knees. Now, every year in Africa, they hold a jungle dance where every single animal turns up to skip and prance. And this year, when the day arrived, poor Gerald felt so sad because when it came to dancing, he was really bad. The warthogs started waltzing and the rhinos rock and rolled. The lions danced a tango that was elegant and bold. The chimps all did a cha-cha with a very Latin feel, and 8 baboons then teamed up for a splendid Scottish reel. Gerald swallowed bravely as he walked toward the floor, but the lions saw him coming and they soon began to roar. "Hey, look at clumsy Gerald," the animals all sneered. "Giraffes can't dance, you silly fool. Oh, Gerald, you're so weird." Gerald simply froze up. He was rooted to the spot. "They're right," he thought. "I'm useless. Oh, I feel like such a clot." So he crept off from the dance floor and he started walking home. He'd never felt so sad before, so sad and all alone. Then he found a little clearing and he looked up at the sky. "The moon can be so beautiful," he whispered with a sigh. "Excuse me," coughed a cricket who'd seen Gerald earlier on. "But sometimes when you're different, you just need a different song." Listen to the swaying grass and listen to the trees. To me, the sweetest music is those branches in the breeze. So imagine that the lovely moon is playing just for you. Everything makes music if you really want it to. With that, the cricket smiled and picked up his violin. Then Gerald felt his body do the most amazing thing. His hooves had started shuffling, making circles on the ground. His neck was gently swaying, and his tail was swishing around. He threw his legs out sideways, and he swung them everywhere. Then he did a backward somersault and leapt up in the air. Gerald felt so wonderful. His mouth was open wide. "I am dancing. Yes, I'm dancing. I am dancing," Gerald cried. Then, one by one, each animal who'd been there at the dance arrived while Gerald boogied on and watched him quite entranced. They shouted, "It must be a miracle. We must be in a dream. Gerald's the best dancer that we've ever seen." "How did you learn to dance like that? Please, Gerald, tell us how." But Gerald simply twirled around and finished with a bow. Then he raised his head and looked up at the moon and stars above. "We all can dance," he said, "when we find music that we love." The end.
These are the joys and sorrows that have been submitted through the Google form found on our website or have been emailed to me. You may, at any time, fill out that form or send me or Reverend Susan an email if you have a joy or sorrow that you'd like to share in a Sunday service. Jordan Struber's medical condition has worsened, and they are experiencing a tremendous amount of daily pain that their physicians have been unsuccessful in alleviating. As Jordan moves towards surgery, please keep them in your daily prayers. Positive thoughts and healing energy are welcome. Andy Fisher shares two joys. That Saturday he biked down the Chicago Lakefront Trail and heard his first free classical concert at the Pritzker Pavilion in Millennial Park. And Monday he leaves by train to visit his sister Carol in upstate New York for the week. Amy Staton asks for prayers of support for Dorothy Staton. She is fighting multiple health issues in the hospital, and her health and spirits are failing. She is Amy's father's fourth wife and is almost 90 years old. And finally, Chris, you shared this deep sorrow. Her brother's son, who is Chris's godson, died by suicide yesterday. He was 27 and sick with schizophrenia and addiction for a long time. Chris asks for prayers of well-being for her brother and his wife. In the practice of beloved community, we hold together these tender offerings of joy and sadness, those that are spoken and those that are unspoken. We take a moment of quiet now to read to ourselves the joys and sorrows that you all are able to add to the chat on the YouTube live stream. We hold these and all those that are in this room and beyond these walls together in care and tenderness. Together we expand our celebrations and we lessen the burden of our grief. I invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. This is a prayer written by Reverend Lynn Cox. Spirit of life, who draws us together in a web of holy relationships, make your presence known with us, in us, and among us. Remind us that we are not alone in history. Ignite us with the courage of the living tradition. Remind us that we are not alone in entering the future. Anchor us with patience and perseverance. Remind us that we are not alone in our times of grief and pain. Comfort us with your Spirit. Manifest in human hands and voices. Remind us that we are not alone in joy and wonder. Inspire us to honor and extend the beauty we find in this world. Divine music of the universe. Let our hearts beat in diverse and harmonious rhythms, cooperating with an everlasting dance of love. May we move with the rhythms of peace. May we move with the rhythms of compassion. May we move with the rhythms of justice. Source of stars and planets and water and land, open our hearts to all of our neighbors. Open our souls to a renewal of faith. Open our hands to join together in the work ahead. So be it. Blessed be. Amen.
The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. Aye, 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 oh, aye, oh, aye, oh. Aye, 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 oh, aye, oh, aye, oh. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth,
UCE remains a vital part of the world and our community. And because we continue to need one another in the blessings of community, we take this time to invite you to give to our shared plate. Today's offering will be shared with Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism, or BLUE for short, whose mission is expanding the power and capacity of Black UUs within our faith, providing support, information, and resources for Black UUs and justice-making and liberation through our faith. You can text to give, send in a check, or give from our website. If you send in a check, please indicate in the memo line if your check is for the pledge, the shared offering, capital campaign, or some other giving. Please give as generously as you are able, and may what you give bring you joy.
Gregory. Wow. My cousin Laura Pettibone started dancing at the Music Center of the North Shore and began more serious study when she was in high school. She ended up inventing a dance major at Beloit College. She then went to New York City and landed in the dance studio of Eric Hawkins, formerly the lead dancer and husband of Martha Graham. After 2 years of intensive study, she was invited to join the Eric Hawkins Dance Company, touring the US, Europe, and Asia for 11 years. I asked Laura what she would be thinking of when she was dancing. She said she rarely had to think about technique or remembering movements when on stage. It was important to think about her connections to the other dancers on stage, where they were, what they were doing, as well as to the audience, feeling their energy and reflecting back her energy to them. She would try to lose the little I, one's particular personality, and try to think about the big I, a more universal sense of self. She would try to fill the stage with her presence. She said that a lot of the thinking she was doing while performing was not able to be verbalized. She recalled one time doing a dance where she slowly knelt down and then panned the audience with her gaze. While doing that, she remembered looking at each person and trying to project, "I love you, I love you, I love you." After the performance, a couple came to see her, and the husband explained that when Laura had done that, his wife had burst into tears for seemingly no reason. The wife was still crying at that point. Laura knew the women had connected with that love. About this project, playing piano the way I do is mainly a solitary activity, and I have always enjoyed doing music collaboratively when I am able. And especially during COVID time, I was starved for contact with others. And I had this brainstorm while playing some of the glass etudes, which seemed to cry out for dance. To begin, we talked about our feelings about the music, so the performance of the music and the dance would be on the same page. I suggested that the driving rhythms express the often relentless busyness of daily life. Thinking about the ways that busyness can actually keep us from really experiencing the people and activities around us, Laura recalled one of her favorite poems by T.S. Eliot. "At the still point of the turning world, neither flesh nor fleshless, neither from nor towards, at the still point, there the dance is." One way of viewing this piece can show the uncomfortable twists and turns of a busy but unfocused life that transforms to a more mindful sense of action. Of course, your experience of it might be very different, and that's okay.
Thank you, Laura and Rob, for that beautiful contribution. Human beings have always danced. Dance is spiritual movement, holy expression, sacred communication. We dance in celebration and lament, as part of carefully choreographed rituals, and in spontaneous moments of joy, like when your favorite song comes on the radio while cooking dinner and you have to stop everything and just shake it. We are spirits embodied and moving through the world in a unique and syncopated rhythm. Our heartbeat is a dance. The movement of our feet, wheels, arms, and shoulders glide, stomp, and jab through the air. We move in relationship, brush past and against each other, over the earth to the beat of our blood flowing through our veins. There is a universal communal dance of life that connects us all. Yet we can sometimes feel cut off, as though we don't have the right to dance without doing it in a certain way. You've seen the poster that says, "Dance like no one is watching." This needs to be written as a motivational reminder, reveals the power of judgment to restrict our movements. A fundamental aspect of freedom is the freedom to move in our bodies as we choose. Though our bodies are all different, with different abilities and disabilities, the right to dance belongs to all of us. July was Disability Pride Month, which celebrates the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act, which was made law in July of 1990. However, as noted in an article by Catherine Post, mosques, synagogues, churches, and other religious institutions remain exempt from ADA requirements. In discussing dance as a part of our spirituality and an essential part of the mind-body-spirit connection, it is important to acknowledge the barriers that exist for many people in our world and the very real impacts of ableism in our culture. Not just the right to move and dance, but the ability to enter and inhabit spaces freely and with ease. If you do or ever have used a wheelchair or a walker or accompanied somebody who has into a restaurant, to the beach, to our South Lawn, you know that the world is far from equally accessible. As a faith community, it is incumbent upon us to identify those barriers and remove them so that all people feel welcome and included. Freedom of movement can be restricted in lots of ways, with a too high step at the threshold or a disapproving look. We can shut someone out or shut them down. May we be a community that welcomes all free and life-affirming movement and expression. Let us make movement and dance in its many forms accessible to all people in all kinds of bodies. Let us open our imagination to the meaning of movement, how it shows up, how we celebrate it, and make space for it. I invite you to listen to the reflections by Shirley, Alicia, and Jessica, and to feel the movement of the dances by Jen and Izzy in your body. Feel free to dance along in whatever way your body feels called, as if no one is watching, or as if everyone is watching and dancing with you and with love.
I've loved dancing all my life, but for my first 50 years, I was never the lead, at least not on the dance floor. In 1998, after taking dance lessons together in a queer-friendly class, friends and I went to the Gay Games in Amsterdam, and we met some London dancers. Sigrid, who was from Germany living in London, was an accomplished dancer. She spoke several languages, and she was ambidancerous. She led me in a lovely social foxtrot, and then the next dance happily followed my partner in a totally different dance. Sigrid was comfortable in both roles. She was also funny and charming and remains a friend to this day. The next year brought changes to my life. My 22-year relationship ended, and my friend Helen's husband passed away, and we both used dance to renew our spirits. We agreed that dancers were great companions because they love music, they enjoy the company of others, and they seldom drink too much because it screws up your balance. One night, Helen and I were on the sidelines of the dance floor. A beautiful song came on, and couples rushed to fill the floor. We were both follows, and we wanted to dance. As usual, there were more women there than men. "Shirley, could you lead this rumba?" Helen asked. "No, I can't lead. I wouldn't know where to start," I moaned. Now, Helen felt no shyness at all about dancing with a female partner, but she was clearly not going to lead, so we stood there, wallflowers, tapping our feet and longing to dance. Suddenly, I burst out and said, "I'm going to learn 3 steps in every dance. We will never miss a dance again." So the UU congregation had made their social hall available most Sunday afternoons for dance lessons, and I took beginner classes as a lead and intermediate classes as a follow. I can still remember the moment in that social hall, and I can still remember the person with whom I was dancing when I first felt the thrill of connecting gracefully and clearly with my partner. She actually knew what I was inviting her to do, and we were both having a great time. Now, I often struggled to hear the downbeat as the song began. I have no musical background. But I slowly began to hear the tempo and to figure out which dance best suited the song that was playing. Since I had followed for so long, I appreciated a strong, gentle lead, and I knew what it felt like. And that's what I wanted to give to my partners. So soon, other women wanted to learn to lead and persuaded me to teach them. And I remember my very first teaching gig. It was an East Coast swing. I probably learned more than the students did, and I just never stopped learning from then on. There have been some funny or awkward times in mostly straight venues when the folks were confused that I was over there learning the lead part. And why would you want to do the man's part was a question that I heard a lot 20 years ago. But in the queer world, it was so much easier. Queer dancers may have a preference for leading or for following, but they choose the role that suits their personality, not their gender, and they do not have to apologize for the choice. I do wish this option was available in the straight world. I teach wedding couples often, and I've seen a lot of couples in which our cultural boundaries of who should lead and who should follow was simply not working for that couple. As an instructor, I did rename the follow role. I call it the responder. It's just as active and just as important as the lead. Both roles require close attention and complete cooperation and a generous spirit to complete the dance and to make it fun. You know, I often think that knowing how to both lead and follow on and off the dance floor makes life richer and easier to navigate. So if you get the chance, I hope you dance.
Thank you very much. My name is Jen. This is Barry. This is Nancy. We just did a dance from Casamance, Senegal, which I had the opportunity to study dance there. And so this is my joy. The dance that we just did was called a con-con, which is a rice harvest dance and a dance for women. We would also like to share with you one more dance. It is named Yankee Macru, and it comes from Guinea, West Africa. It is a full moon dance. Thank you very much. Or as they would say in Casamance, Jerry Jeff.
Good morning. There is beauty in poetry that triggers feelings and ideas that are sometimes hard to describe, but beautiful nonetheless. The words flow together like a dance to create an image in our minds that express meaning and emotion. There are stories in poetry that tells us of times long gone, of love lost, of the serenity in nature, of turbulence, of traditions, and simply the business of living our lives. There's poetry in dance. We use the movement of our bodies to express metaphor, rhythm, and style. Dance uses the language of movement to tell stories and to stir our emotions. The flow from one movement to another can be a feast for the eyes, as words become dance steps and other body movements accentuate a theme. There's history and tradition in dance. The West African dances, like what we have just seen, demonstrates traditions that survived for centuries, brought down from generation to generation. Dance is about the harvest, friendship, courtship, weddings, fertility, and so forth. I was very young when I first saw the Filipino dance tinikling performed. Some of you may have seen it. Bamboo poles are used lengthwise, tapping the ground, and then together as dancers are dancing between and around the poles. As I found out, this dance originated during the Spanish colonial era and represented the attempts of rice farmers to keep the tickling bird from stealing rice from the fields. I remember thinking, what if their ankles get caught between the poles? Boy, that would really hurt. But of course, that never happened, and what I saw was a beautiful, very rhythmic, and very expressive dance that was a deep part of Filipino culture. A dance that I wanted to learn, but never did. I'm not a dancer per se, but I like to dance, more so at weddings and such, rather than as performance. Sometimes I dance in my seat at these weddings, snapping my fingers and moving my arms and shoulders, usually because I'm tuckered out after the last line dance with my fellow banquet cohorts. But make no mistake, dance has a story to tell. Whatever movements are used, dance is, and you've heard the expression before, poetry in motion.
I was very excited when I learned that the theme for our service today was dance. My love for dance is threefold. I love to dance, I love watching dance, and the study of dance and movement has been a significant part of my research, writing, and life. I love to dance. I've never considered myself a particularly skilled dancer, but that never stopped me. I've taken a variety of dance classes, ballet, modern, and Irish dance. One of the first things my spouse and I did when we met was take a ballroom dance class together. That was over 30 years ago, and we both still jump up to dance when a swing song is played. The feeling of moving your body through space, alone or connected with someone else, is thrilling. Perhaps even more, I love to watch other people dance. The stomp, clap, and snap of the tango, the leaps and grace of ballet, the complex rhythms of step dancing. I have a great admiration for dancers. They seem to exist in another dimension, where gravity and the muscles of their bodies are controlled in ways I will never understand. Even as I watch dancers, I have a feeling in my limbs, a lift in my gut, a change in my breathing as they move. My road to researching dance and movement as a PhD student is a complicated one, but one element of that decision was the realization that my true calling was to theorize about dance and movement rather than practice dance. In academic circles, I identify as an ethnochoreologist. What this means is that I study what is communicated through the body. This could be through movement, through styles of dress, through gender expression, or through talk about the movement. I look at how identity is communicated through the body and through movement. One example would be when I studied Irish dancers. I wrote about the long history of colonization and gender norms that are inscribed on the bodies of Irish dancers simply because they do not use their arms while dancing. I found, though, that the values communicated through Irish dance often mirror those of the dancer in everyday life. There are a number of truths that I discovered in my work as an ethnochoreologist. I'll just mention a few. 1, Western culture often encourages us to believe in a mind-body separation. This is often traced back to Descartes' philosophy, I think, therefore I am. We privilege the mind over the body. Instead, dance theory encourages us to think of the connection between mind and body and recognizes how the body matters, not just in dance, but in everyday interactions. 2, dance theory recognizes that if we focus on the body, we begin to center the bodies and experiences of those who've been traditionally marginalized because of race, class, sexuality, gender, body type, or ability, or any intersection or combination of identities. 3, dance theory acknowledges the importance of the body, not just in how we communicate with others, but in how we understand other people. Do you remember when I talked about how I often experienced a feeling in my own body when I watch other dancers? This is a scientifically proven biological response called kinesthetic empathy. My muscles respond empathetically while watching another dancer. So in addition to my thrill at the notion of having dance as a theme for our service today, as an ethno-choreologist, I asked myself, why would Unitarian Universalists be interested in dance? Well, one possibility is that our end statements, which guide us in answering the question, who do we want to be in the world, say, we cultivate spiritual awareness, joy, and wonder through words, music, the arts, and the natural world. Dance is one of the arts, is one of the ways that we cultivate spiritual awareness. I like this answer because it shows the connection between mind, body, and spirit. I believe another answer can be found in our principles. The second principle calls for justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. The third principle asks us to accept one another and to encourage spiritual growth in our congregations. The eighth principle asks us to accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. Unitarian Universalism has many things in common with the academic discipline ethno-choreology. 1, we believe that identities are important and should be understood, acknowledged, and respected. 2, we believe that our identities are embodied. We show our identities through our bodies. 3, we believe that our values are embodied. We show what we believe by what we do. 4, bodies matter. Centering our bodies in our understanding of ourselves encourages a connection between mind, body, and spirit. For some of us, this may be a reclamation of a body that has been demeaned by society. And for some of us, it may help us to acknowledge our privilege in the world. Centering bodies in our understanding of others recognizes and respects difference. And lastly, we use empathy in our understanding of and interactions with others. Given these connections, it is not surprising that a lover of dance and an ethno-choreologist like myself would become a Unitarian Universalist. And it is not surprising that we would be focusing on dance today in our service. I would like to encourage all of you to recognize not just the aesthetic qualities of dance, but also how our everyday movement is a dance that embodies identities and values. We are capable of great compassion and kinesthetic empathy as we move through this world and notice and respect how others move through it as well.
Thank you, Izzy and family, for those dances. And now Renee and Erlene are coming back up to extinguish our chalice as we end our service. And I'm going to ask you to join me in saying these words. Though the flame is extinguished, we carry with us the warmth of community, the light of truth, and the fire of commitment until we are together again. Now, our last piece of music is a real favorite of mine. It's from the Gray Hymnal, number 311. It was written by UU poet and troubadour Rick Maston, whom some of you may remember. Feel free to dance or sing along with Morgan and Karina as they lead us in Let It Be a Dance.
Let it be a dance we do.
May I have this dance with you?
Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance.
Let it be a dance we do.
May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance.
Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with the wind. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night.
Without the dark, there is no light.
If nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance.
Let the sunshine, let it rain.
Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.
Let us go making peace, dancing with abandon and joy, and encouraging others to do the same. Blessed be.